So hello friends, welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to discuss about a very important topic, pyrexia of unknown origin. So I have taken reference of definition from the Harrison. So in the Harrison, it is said that what is the condition to tell if any fever to be pyrexia of unknown origin. So if the temperature is greater than 100.1 degree Fahrenheit or 38.3 degrees Celsius on at least 2 occasions, and that temperature or that fever is persistent for greater than 3 weeks, and after thorough history examination and obligatory investigation. I will tell you what are the obligatory investigation. So after thorough examination, history examination and obligatory investigation, you have not reached up to diagnosis, so the diagnosis is still uncertain, and for this diagnosis you visited at least 2-time OPD visit, or you stayed in hospital for greater than 3 days. So if these conditions are met, we will say a fever to be pyrexia of unknown origin. So yes, I think you know the definition, but always you should rule out the immunocompromised states. So first and foremost thing, that is, you should rule out all the immunocompromised states. Let's suppose the person should not be a HIV person, or the person should not be taking any kind of immunosuppressive drugs, and after ruling out all the immunocompromised state, if the temperature is greater than 101 degree Fahrenheit for at least 2 occasions, and that fever is persisting for greater than 3 weeks, and after the thorough history examination, obligatory investigation, you didn't reach the diagnosis, and for this history examination and obligatory investigation, the patient has stayed either greater than 3 days in hospital, or visited greater than 2 times in the OPD. So this is the real definition of the pyrexia of unknown origin. So now let's talk about the obligatory investigation. So I have said in definition obligatory investigation. So if any patient is having you are suspecting the patient is having pyrexia of unknown origin, then you should start from the obligatory investigation. That you should investigate all these tests. So you will see hemoglobin, TLC, DLC. Basically, hemoglobin, TLC, DLC are for the to see the any kind of infection, either that is bacterial, viral, or any kind of parasite, any kind of the amoebic helminths infection. And you will also see the complete blood count. Hemoglobin is basically seen to rule out the anemias, and you will see the ESR CRP to rule out any kind of inflammatory underlying process. You will see the condition of kidney, so renal function test, and the liver function test along with the electrolytes. And in the liver function test, we will also assess the the serum bilirubin level in the serum albumin level in the body, and you will also rule out the rheumatic arthritis. So RA in the serum rheumatic arthritis component is seen, anti-neutrophilic antibody is seen, and creatine kinase for the rule out the connective tissue disorders, and serum electrophoresis is done basically to rule out the multiple myeloma, and urine routine examination, microscopic examination, culture for the urinary tract infection, and blood culture for any kind of the blood infection, and chest X-ray USG to rule out any kind of the tuberculosis or any kind of pneumonia in the lungs, or extrapulmonary tuberculosis, and Mantoux test is also for the tuberculosis, and the interferon gamma release assay is also done. So basically, after doing these all tests, these are basically the obligatory investigation that you should do in case of the fever which is actually not getting into a proper diagnosis. Okay. So now friends, let's see what is the approach to pyrexia of unknown origin. So let's suppose any patient came, and the patient is meeting the criteria, the definition of the pyrexia of unknown origin. So the criteria of pyrexia of unknown origin is met. Now you start the history and physical examination, and you stop all the antibiotics if the patient is taking from previously or during the hospital stay. Stop the antibiotics or stop glucocorticoids if the patient is taking. Perform all the obligatory investigation. So I have already said you what are the obligatory investigation. So you perform all the obligatory investigation and exclude manipulation with thermometer. Sometimes the patient, to get attention, the patient can manipulate the thermometer. So that let's suppose the patient is touching the thermometer towards any kind of heat source, so the patient can manipulate that thing. So exclude the patient is manipulating or not, and stop any medication if the patient is taking from the previous. Now start to find out any potentially diagnostic clues is present or not. So what is potential diagnostic clues? So let's suppose the patient is having fever, but the patient is also having headache. So fever plus headache, it is a potential diagnostic clues of the meningitis. Meningitis can be tubercular, can be cryptococcal, and in such cases start the diagnostic test. I mean guided diagnostic test. So if the potential clues are present, then you should start to perform guided diagnostic test. So what is the guided diagnostic test in this case? It is CSF lumbar puncture. So in the CSF lumbar puncture, you will rule out the meningitis TB present or not. And let's suppose if any patient is having fever, but in the blood investigation, the patient is also having the cytopenia, hepatosplenomegaly, then you are suspecting the patient may have the so this is a potential diagnostic clues of the atypical bone marrow infection. So if you are suspecting of the atypical bone marrow infection, so atypical bone marrow infection is the potential diagnostic. I mean the cytopenia, hepatosplenomegaly is the potential diagnostic clue of atypical bone marrow infection. So if you are suspecting this, start the bone marrow biopsy. So if the potential clues are present, do the guided diagnostic test. If in the guided diagnostic test it is confirmed, let's suppose if in the guided diagnostic test it is confirmed, then go as disease treatment. And if it is not confirmed, then again you are here. So if the potential diagnostic clues is not present, or if the guided diagnostic clues, guided diagnostic test is not able to find out, then in that case you should see the cryptoglobin and the fundoscopy. Potential diagnostic clues are absent. See the level of cryptoglobin in the blood. So what will the cryptoglobin will actually tell you any immunological reaction is present or not. So to rule out the any kind of immunological cause of the fever, you should see the level of cryptoglobins. And fundoscopy. So what we will see in fundoscopy? So see, in many cases of the subacute infective endocarditis, there will be Roth spot in the fundoscopy. So there will be presence of Roth spot in the fundus. So if there is presence of Roth spot in the fundus, so you want to see the Roth spot is present in fundus or not. So it will rule out the subacute infective endocarditis. Yes, if these are also not positive, then you go for the FDG PET scan. So what is FDG PET scan? See, FDG PET scan actually will tell you the uptake of glucose in the different tissues, and it will tell you that in what tissues the glucose uptake is greater than the normal. So you know that in various conditions, like in the condition like, let's suppose in the condition like malignancy, in condition like any inflammatory disease, in any lymph node tumor. So in these conditions, what will be there? That in these conditions there will be actually increased uptake of the tissues, and the increased uptake of the tissues will be actually detected by FDG PET scan. So FDG PET scan is actually done to detect the to see that in any tissues there is increased uptake of glucose or not. So if there is increased uptake of glucose, then you should suspect that there can be these causes: malignancy, inflammatory disease, or lymph node tumor. And now there is another test, CT scan or abdomen, CT chest or abdomen. Yes, many of the students have queries that you have to do CT scan, CT of the chest first, then you can do FDG PET. But in the pyrexia of unknown origin, in the investigation, FDG PET has a higher diagnostic value than the CT chest and CT abdomen. That's why in the first we will do FDG PET, though it is expensive. Then only if there is nothing we will see in the FDG PET scan, then you will do the CT scan of chest and abdomen. And let's suppose in the CT scan of chest and abdomen also you will not find any kind of lesion or any kind of tumor in the bone or any areas. Then you start to think there can be the giant cell arteritis, And to rule out the giant cell arteritis, you'll go for the temporal artery biopsy. So in this way, you will approach a disease of the pyrexia of unknown origin. So most of the time, after approaching in this way, the diagnosis will be achieved, but sometimes the diagnosis also cannot be achieved. So we will see in the treatment that what we will do if the diagnosis is achieved, and what we will not do, what we will do if the diagnosis is not achieved. So then the treatment portion that will be covered. Let's talk about the treatment of the pyrexia of unknown origin. So after doing in approaching that way, most of the time the cause will be identified. So if the cause is identified, you will do the treatment, cause specific treatment. But if still the cause is not identified, then you should start empirical anti-tubercular therapy, and you should give NSAIDs, anakinra. So anakinra is especially interleukin 1 inhibitor or antagonist. So interleukin 1 antagonist and colchicine. So this is the way of treatment of the pyrexia of unknown origin. Thank you.